Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. How is everybody doing? Everybody's having a fantastic day, I believe. I hope. David, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Good. All right, everything's cool. Hey, yes, everybody. Hello, I'm here. People now saying, hello, my fellow Islamophobes. This is very disrespectful. No Islamophobia, please. Islamophobia should be banned from the whole world.
Or if you're in the UK, sent to prison for 20 months.
Yeah. Because we can't do anything about it right now. But anyway, so innit? Irish AP. So David, what's up? How you doing?
What's up? Just gonna send out this link. Forgot to send out the link, even though I was just sitting here doing nothing.
So today we had some fantastic news in the morning. We had announced and predicted for a very long time, for the longest time now, that that Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate are going to be raided and arrested again, and that the authorities in charge are going to crack down on them for more charges than there already were, and that these charges would be related to more crimes, such as trafficking of minors. And this morning, we saw the news that as the day started in Europe, in Romania, the DCOT, which is the Department for Terrorism and Organized Crime, went to the Tate compound in the morning and raided it. And apparently they tried to shut out the DCOT people, authorities, forces as much as possible. Eventually they had to come in from the roof. So they went in, arrested both Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, and started searching the house for 9 hours or more and collecting everything they have, everything they can. Put both of the Tate brothers away, and later this day, we got news that both Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate are now under arrest for 24 hours. If they are under arrest for 24 hours, and if at the end of this they go to court, it is most likely going to result in the declaration of additional charges. And that is what they are going in for. So they went in there to for an investigation on trafficking minors, and apparently they named 2 people as minors victims in this case, and they have been investigating this forever, actually for years, and this was expected. Now that they have gone in and pulled the trigger, it means they're going to turn this into formal charges of trafficking minors. So remember, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate are already indicted, already charged, and already awaiting trial for human trafficking, rape, and organized crime. And now to that, trafficking of minors will be added.
And I just wanted to correct a very stupid claim that we've gotten from the Tater Tots and other various Tate supporters over more than a year now. But it was always, hey, if they have evidence against the Tates, why hasn't the trial started? Why hasn't the trial started? And we were saying it back then. When they're raising this stupid objection. We were saying Romania wants to do one big trial. Right? They don't want to do 10 separate. They don't want to do 10 separate trials. They want to do one big trial. You're charged with 22 counts of this, 15 counts of that, 8 counts of that. Try them all. It'll be a 3-month or 6-month or maybe 9-month or a year-long trial. It's going to be a big, long trial. And they want to do one huge, massive trial and get everything covered. And whatever time these guys have to do, then they send them away for the time. Which means they want to do all their investigating and finding any extra charges beforehand. They don't want to go do this huge trial and then find out, oh, and they trafficked this other girl at this time, and therefore we have to do another trial. They don't. So they're trying to do all their investigating ahead of time first, then do the trial. And what we said was going to happen was, as these guys as these guys get investigated more, as they go around questioning people more, they're going to find more charges. So I have no idea how long this investigation phase is going to last, because they're gonna keep digging until they don't find anything else. Then they'll have their trial. But right now, looks like they've found some additional information, and it's going to be pretty weird for Tate to deny it, since this is another situation that he's been bragging about it for years.
Yeah, and there are people now. He actually went on Twitter immediately and started twisting things again, and started acting as if
The Matrix.
As if it's the Matrix or the Zionists, the Jews, Israel.
They got mad because I criticized Israel, and everyone who criticizes Israel just gets locked up instantly. You see the power of the Jewish media control.
There are actually people joining in on this, but imagine the insanity here. And I want to tackle this from a few different angles. But imagine the insanity of people who are actually supportive of Andrew Tate, and who actually say, "Oh, it's Israel, it's the Zionists, it's the Matrix, the globalists coming for him because he criticized Israel." First off, there are lots of people out there who criticize Israel, lots of people out there who bash Israel all day long. It is currently the popular thing to do. Imagine any other person who is not engaged in human trafficking. Can you imagine that person would also be raided multiple times, indicted with charges and numerous evidence and so on, taken to prison, given a court day or put on trial and so on? Can you imagine this being done to anyone else who is not at all involved with a case of human trafficking or sex trafficking? How does this work?
It's what happens to anyone who criticizes the Jews or Israel in any way. They're just like, police descend upon them and break through their roofs and start raiding their computers.
Can you give me an example of anyone else who would?
That's what's funny, right? As you pointed out, you got millions of people who spend all day, every day now whining about Jews, right? And you have all these big channels that have millions of followers and so on, constantly whining about Jews. And then like one guy gets arrested on trafficking charges, and it'll be, you see, the Jews control everything, and this is what they do. And then it actually serves as further proof of Jewish control of the media. Just the fact that he criticized Israel and he got arrested, even though he was getting, even though this is from stuff that he did long before he was talking about the Jews. Anyway, it's a weird situation. People are stupid.
The first thing he tweeted was this one: "No Zionists, I am not sorry, free Gaza." He immediately made it about Israel to depict himself as a hero. And this is just, and look at this. I mean, 60,000 likes. 60,000 likes on this.
Wait, I have a question. Andrew.
Yes.
How do you know, Andrew? I'd like to ask Andrew this question. Andrew, how do you know that the reason they came to tear through your house over child trafficking issues, how do you know it's because you criticized the Zionists and not for your fearless defense of young men? How do we know it's not that? I mean, people hate you and want to lock you up over both those things: criticizing the Zionists and for being the sole living defender of young men everywhere. Which one is it, Andrew? It's got to be one of those, because otherwise it's just the trafficking thing, right? And we can't be that. It has to be something else, because there's no evidence against you, right? What an idiot.
I just want to point out one thing
60,000 idiots right there.
Which is like 60,000 people like this, and I don't want to insult those people, but they are
I will.
They're completely stupid and absolutely moronic. I mean, if you actually follow this guy and like this stuff here, you are officially declaring yourself to be a complete idiot, and Andrew Tate's, in his own word, bottom bitch. Because what he is doing here is he is using Israel, he is using a popular narrative and lying to you to depict himself as a hero, and to basically use dead people and people in Gaza and in Israel as tool just to deflect from the guilt that he has. Now, I'm going to tell you something very, 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 very simple. A very simple question to ask. If you go back just a year or so, even before the war started, did we and others, or did we not predict that Andrew Tate would be sometime in the near or far future be raided again for an investigation into trafficking minors? And you will find the answer very, very easily. If you go back on my channel, on Murdered by Crayons, on other people who work on this issue all the time, a lot of us have predicted again and again that soon they will add charges and there will be trafficking of minors added to that. At that point, when we made those predictions, the war wasn't ongoing, and Andrew Tate was not talking about Israel and Gaza. He deliberately, knowing most likely that they are closing in and the child trafficking case will be opened and publicly declared very soon, knowingly started speaking about, started saying some very controversial things about Israel and about Jews. Then he gets arrested, and the first thing he says is, "No Zionists, I'm not sorry." It is without debate, without question, 100% true that both Andrew Tate, his lawyers, and many others knew exactly that the case of child trafficking was incoming. We all knew this long before the war. And he is now using it and deliberately and very openly and clearly, irrefutably lying to his fans who are idiots.
And we knew it from his own words and from his past. So anyway, he Murdered by Crayons, they actually did the math on one of the instances when he was saying, here I've got this girl who she's my webcam girl, blah, 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 blah. And I met her at 4 years ago. I met her. Anyway, they did the math and like, wait, if she's this old now, and she was this old when you met her and had sex with her, that would make her, whatever they come up with was like 15 or 14 or something like this. So you could actually do the math based on his, same as always, Tate brags about all the stuff he's doing because he was too stupid to realize it was illegal, and because he's a narcissist and doesn't think that consequences apply to him. But he was bragging about this stuff. And at the same time, we were seeing all these messages of girls that they tried to groom, and it would be like high school girls and so on in Romania, that these guys are chatting up and stuff and showing up in their, on Facebook and stuff like this, and trying to chat up the girls to get them to become their webcam girls. But they were girls who were still in school. So anyway, yeah, we knew this was totally going to happen. As for the Zionists, notice what was the concern like 2 years ago? What was the big concern? It's what about how boys are being treated? They're being targeted and oppressed and so on. So what did Tate say then when he had to say why they're coming after him? It's because he's the sole defender of boys in this in these dark times. Right now, what's the big issue? Israel. If Israel weren't the big issue, he would be saying it's because I stood up for England in response to the immigration problem. I stood, and therefore the government's coming against me. If it wasn't that, he would say, "Oh, it's because I supported Donald Trump that politicians are coming after me, and this is Kamala's behind this. Kamala's coming to get me." And it wouldn't matter what the big issue of the time is. He would say that's the reason he's being targeted by the Matrix. And it's just, notice, guys, it's never because of messed up things that he did. It's never, ever because he did a bunch of messed up stuff and now it's catching up with him. It's always because he's so great and wonderful in some way that he's being targeted. Always. He's always, because his fearless defense of this, it's his fearless defense of Gaza. That's why.
Let's listen to this.
You actually have to downplay your relationship with the girl of 6 years, which is difficult. And I only get away with that because the girl of 6 years plays along. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. She's completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me.
Wait, she's 6 years old?
And we met and we fell, whatever, we're in love. But when a new girl comes, she'll go, oh yeah, I started off.
So he said Vivian, who's totally in love with me, has been with me for 6 years.
We're in love. But when a new girl comes, she'll go, oh yeah, I started off working for him, and it's just how it worked out. She'll super downplay us. When I bring on new girls, I usually pair them with Vivian. Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28, Vivian's like 21. Vivian's younger.
So Vivian has been with him. Vivian has been with him for 6 years, and Vivian is currently 21 years old.
You catch that? He just did it to himself. Guys, he just did it to himself. He just said, Vivian's been with me for 6 years. She's been my girl for 6 years.
Can I make this?
And then he's just talking about their age difference, and he's saying she's younger, so he pairs her with the young girls he's bringing in.
Uh-oh.
Huh. Wait, 21?
21 minus 6 is 15.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Pronouns.
The problem with 15 is, well, here he is self-snitching, of course. The thing is, he was recording these videos to give courses on a pimping business. He was teaching paying customers how to be a pimp and how to lure women into sex work on webcam. And of course, he didn't know at this point that he would become hugely famous. So he talks about it here. And he reveals on accident that Vivian was 15 years old. Now, there is an issue here about the age of consent. He is on record many times talking about how he has sex with 16-year-olds, 15 years old, and so on. The issue is, in Romania and in some other countries, the age of consent might be lower than in America, for example. It might be lower than 18. However, if one person is above the age of 18 and the other is not, it gets legally problematic, like in Romania. But the more important issue relevant to the case that we are dealing with is in no country in the world is it allowed to get into sex work, even if it is legal to a certain extent, anything sex related, under the age of 18. And if somebody employs by different means a person who is under the age of 18 in sex work, that is by definition a case of human trafficking. In fact, it is so bad that no amount of consent from the victim is then accepted in this case. It is regardless of whatever the background considered human trafficking. So if this guy is on record admitting that he is working with one of those girls and she was with him since she was 15, he is admitting here to sex trafficking and trafficking of minors, most importantly. That's it.
Yeah. And you've got people in the chat saying that it's 16 age of consent and so on. Yeah, and what AP was just pointing out that would be age of consent for someone having sex, and then there's the additional issue of what if one person is above the age of consent and the other person isn't, or something like that. That's a separate issue. But what AP is pointing out is, when you're talking about trafficking, if it's a minor, it wouldn't matter what the age of consent is. That if you're a minor and you're trafficking the person, notice it wouldn't matter what age she is. If you're trafficking her, if you're using the lover boy method to get someone and manipulate someone into doing sex work for you or porn for you or something like that, that's trafficking. And if you're doing it and the person has to be a minor, then all of a sudden you're trafficking a minor. And that's a situation where they would not care at all how much the girl consented. You'd be in a lot of trouble for sex trafficking a minor.
Yes.
So,
and you would be, by international law, agreed upon by the vast majority of countries in existence around the world. It would be agreed upon that this is a very, very clear case of sex trafficking. So Yeah, there you have it. This is only one instance. This is only one, and this is probably not what Decaught and what the court is going by. I'm just showing this as an example of himself snitching and even explaining to us right here on camera that he is that he employs for sex work a minor. Of course, he went further into 9 hours into the house search, and police officer looks at me apologetically and shrugs his shoulders. He said, "You've made somebody very angry."
Who? The Jews?
It was the Jews.
The Jews?
So, Myron here, of course, chimed in and said, "Criticize Israel for killing children, and days later your home is raided." Coincidence?
I don't believe in coincidences. Hey, Andrew, here's a better one. Andrew Tate apparently trafficked a minor, according to his own words. Then they just raided his house over it. Coincidence?
I don't believe in coincidences. There's actually something more interesting here, like another coincidence you will see. Look at this. Wait, where did I go? Why did I go so far back? How did that even happen? That's impossible. You go further down on his timeline here on Twitter, on X, and you see just from 2 days ago or so. Where did it go? Oh, here, look. August 19th, just 2 days ago. Look at this. He's posting about me. It has 30,000 likes. I made a post saying there are serious concerns that Candace Owens.
Yeah, you need to explain this, because we have an ongoing problem of we say things sarcastically or joking, and then people don't know that we're being sarcastic, and you look at it and you go, how do people not understand, and so on. And the issue is like there's I don't know, some people just they're just not wired. They're just not wired for it, and they could actually be a genius, but still not get that you're messing around and so on. Because I shared that too, and everyone's like, "What? Where's the evidence?" But it was actually interesting because I shared. Yeah, go ahead and explain what you said there, and I'll explain when I shared it. And then the results were actually interesting because you had multiple categories of people. You had people who were like, who got the joke. They understood that it was a joke. Then you had people who are on Candace's side. Well, where's the proof? Where's the proof of this? What? You haven't offered any proof. So you had those people, but then you had the people who immediately go, wow, this is disturbing. I can't believe it. And it's like, wait, you guys just felt we offered zero evidence. We offered nothing. We just said, some people think this, and people actually went with, oh, really? This is really disturbing. And it's like, wait a minute, but that's how these guys function. They just say something. And then there's like a portion who will be skeptical and say, where's the evidence for that? But then there's this large group that will say, what? Really? I didn't know this. This is so shocking.
Now, here is what happened. I made a tweet here on this day, which I made sarcastically to make a point. The tweet here went as follows: "There are serious concerns that Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, and Dan Bilzerian are involved in a child sex trafficking ring, which involves sexual acts with these three, followed by child sacrifice and blood drinking. Why is this not talked about?" I'm just asking questions, guys. Now, most people who read this and who especially read this last line here, I'm just asking question, guys, probably understood the point, which is why the reactions are generally laughter. Some people were stupid enough to say evidence. Some people were saying fair questions. We need to circulate the questions. Cat Canada said you should definitely ask questions. Nothing wrong with asking questions. That's how it works, and so on. Some people were laughing and posting shocked faces and so on. Now, here is the issue. I deliberately and clearly posted this as a mockery to make a point of this way of spreading conspiracy theories, which Candace and Andrew Tate very often engage in, which is saying really, really absurd, really untrue, messed up things, and then saying, I'm just putting thoughts out there, guys, and I'm just asking questions. Why are we not allowed to ask questions? And why are people starting to attack us just because we're asking questions? It's just, they won't allow us to talk. And this has become a mockery, and I, to make a point, engaged in that mockery and even pointed out, I'm just asking questions, guys. I know very well that there is not actually a child sex trafficking ring where these three come together and sacrifice a child and drink its blood. I know that this is not true. I do know that Andrew Tate is involved in sex trafficking. And I do know that Dan Bilzerian also has some really, really messed up abuse and sex things. And I know that Candace is aware of both of them, and she just makes and she defends them. She's proud of it. I made a point, however, and the funny thing is, Andrew Tate actually responds to it. Responds to this and says the following: "We inquired why questions can't be asked about Israel without facing slander. To prove that this is just a conspiracy theory, they slander us." Now, there are two assumptions here that I have. One is that Andrew Tate is so dumb that he doesn't understand what I did here. Because I'm clearly saying I'm just asking questions, guys. And he's even replying here with, "We inquired why questions can't be asked about Israel without facing slander." So there's that one, there's one option, which is that he's dumb. Or there's option two, which is he knows what I did here. He knows exactly what I did here. But he's deliberately using this opportunity to once again lie and use propaganda for his fans in order to depict himself as a great guy and people like me as liars. And considering that this has 30,000 likes, his fans are really eating it up, it seems.
And and we can see with every tweet he posts how stupid his fans are. But guys, so this has just become a popular way of avoiding certain legal problems, because if you just say, "Hey, that person over there I don't like, that person has a child sex dungeon in his basement and he sacrifices children," and so on, you can actually get sued over that sort of thing. If you say there are concerns about that person, then it becomes, you haven't claimed it. You just said there are concerns, right? And then if you top it all off by saying, "I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. Why are these concerns? And what is there a cover up? Is there a cover up? Is there this high level government conspiracy to cover up this child sex demon sacrifice system under this person's basement?" I'm just asking questions. Then it's really hard to sue you because you haven't actually made any declarations or anything. So anyway, you've got people like Candace, and they do this all day. And you can say lots of people are concerned. There are concerns over Jews taking the blood of Christian kids and mixing it in with their crackers. There are concerns. And I just want to know why no one's talking about this. Why aren't the media talking about this? Who controls the media then? Who controls the media that the media aren't responding? Hey, I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. And if your followers are stupid enough, they just start eating this stuff up. So all AP did was for once, he just flipped it back on them. For once, it got flipped back on them. The exact same method, which you could do all day long. In other words, you could do this all day long. You said, "Hey, is Candace an alien?" There are concerns that Candace Owens is an alien. I'm just asking questions. There's concerns that she was sent here by Martians and you could just say anything you want, and you will find people dumb enough to go, "What? Is that true?"
So I did this after two things. One was seeing this video here. The second was that day, Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, and Dan Bilzerian, actually the top authorities on Zionism, of course, held a Twitter Spaces where they talked about Jews and Zionism and Israel, and I didn't listen to most of it. I caught a part where they were saying some really messed up things and just talking about asking questions, where Andrew Tate specifically was just saying that we're not even allowed to ask these questions. Like after asking these questions, they will probably try to, I don't know, accuse us of this and this and that. So I decided to make a mockery tweet. But here is what Candace Owens said, and this is really messed up.
Many moons ago, before they decided to establish Israel as a country, I know you've read like the short version in the classroom, and it was like, "Oh, the Holocaust happened, and then we realized that Israel needs a state." No, that's not how it went down. That's not how it went down at the F all, okay? Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover. And then they would find bodies, okay, across Europe, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. Blood libel. They weren't Jews, okay? These were Frankists.
Now, I want to say one thing, which is I don't even understand. None of that has anything to do with what she says at the beginning, which is the founding of Israel. Secondly, people didn't have the decision to create a country named Israel after the Holocaust. It's just so dumb. She's not even talking. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's trying to refute a popular narrative without even knowing what the narrative actually is. But she's then going for the blood libel and actually validating medieval blood libels, which have been thoroughly debunked and proven to be false on every occasion. And she is going with it. She's actually going with the most insane theories which were made up to vilify and pogrom and genocide Jewish populations. What was it there? Were you saying something?
I don't know if I don't understand Candace's brilliant argumentation strategy, but did she just say you all absorbed this story that after the Holocaust, the Jews got Israel and so on? No, they were killing a bunch of Christian kids. Like what?
I don't even get it.
I'm not understanding.
Maybe she's on some drugs or something. I don't know. But
that's what I'm saying. You've been told this is how Israel happened. No, Israel happened. Yet no, Israel happened because Jews were killing Christian kids. Like, wait, what? So you're killing a bunch of Christian kids, and they said, "Let's give you a nation." Is that what she just said? They're like, "Hey, who's killing all these Christian kids?" Oh, we've discovered that it's the Jews. You know what we need to do? Give them their own nation.
This is a very... Oh, wait a minute. Jingoistic Pig said, I did screen record and upload these clips and got a bunch of new followers, so I'd like to thank Candace. Jingoistic Pig, I know that you recorded the whole thing that she held here and posted about it. Can you tell me if the context here is right? Because it's very confusing when she says that, I know you heard that after the Holocaust they decided to create a country, Israel, but that's not how it happened at all. It was just a bunch of Christian kids were missing, and then they traced it back to Jews. Is this really the context, or am I missing something? Because this sounds really, really insane. Just please let me know.
And so just like Leo Frank killed Mary Fagan on Passover back in 1913 or 1914, I can't remember the exact date, he did it during Passover for a reason. This Frankist cult.
All right, so Jingoistic Pig said there is no more context than that. It was insane. I gather that. She's now connecting that somehow to Leo Frank. Let's recap that.
Leo Frank killed Mary Fagan on Passover back in 1913 or 1914. I can't remember the exact date. He did it during Passover for a reason. This Frankist cult.
She's now connecting Leo Frank, probably because of his name, to the Frankists, who engage in child sacrifices and drink bloods of children and so on. Now, Leo Frank is a very, very controversial issue. Leo Frank was a guy who was in charge of a factory somewhere in America in the early 20th century. He was, without evidence, baselessly accused of having murdered somebody who worked there or who was there. And there were different people who were accused, but he was accused by the majority of people. They, without giving him proper, the proper treatment expected in a court of law, attacked him, put him in front of a court where they found him, despite insufficient evidence, guilty. And later on, the guy was lynched. I cannot say that the guy was definitely guilty or innocent. Nobody can really say. Later on, much later, he was. It was ruled, I think half a century later, it was ruled that the court did not give him the proper treatment expected under the law, and that the ruling is basically void. However, we don't know what actually happened. But the guy was basically killed based on accusations and suspicions without being given the proper procedure of, in a court. Now, that guy, however, has nothing to do at all with these blood libels in the, from centuries ago, plus the blood libels that arose in the history of Europe and outside of Europe have nothing to do with Leo Frank, who also has nothing to do with Frankists. She is rambling a bunch of weird nonsense just within these 40 seconds. She's talking about Frankists being the ones who are sacrificing children and drinking their blood. Frankists are a movement of Jews who are a small offshoot from Sabbateans who followed a guy named Sabbatai Tzvi, who declared himself the Messiah, I think in the 1600s or so. Let me see quickly to verify that. Actually, much later than that. Wait. Frankism came in the 18th and 19th centuries based on the Sabbateans from Sabbatai Tzvi, who was around in the 1600s. So in the 1600s, Sabbatai Tzvi was a Jewish teacher who declared himself the Messiah and who started creating his own cult-like group, and who was then, not long after, rejected and condemned by Jewish authorities around the world. So this is a rejected Jewish cult. That rejected Jewish cult later on disappeared when Sabbatai Tzvi converted to Islam under pressure of the Ottoman Sultan, and much of his cult disappeared into becoming a secret group in Turkey, and they most likely went extinct. There is no proof at all that these guys actually existed after that point. The Frankists were a group that were based on this idea of the Sabbateans. Those Frankists developed an even more cultish Jewish little religious group, but they only came into existence in the 18th and 19th century. But they were very small in number and concentrated, and they had nothing to do with all the cases of Jews being accused of killing children and drinking their blood, because stuff like that goes back to the 11th century, 12th century, 13th, 14th, 15th, and so on. So none of this makes any sense. This is chronologically absolutely idiotic on Candace's behalf. And she's acting like, oh, I'm not accusing Jews. I'm just accusing these other people.
It's literally it's the spoken version of, how like a crazy person will have all these pictures all over the wall with all the strings attached to everything else,
yes,
and everything's connected to everything else. It's like the spoken version of that, right? The insane. By the way, someone pointed out that one of the pictures behind her is actually her husband with Andrew Tate from years ago.
It is. Here, this is her husband, his Michael Frank, I think, and this is Andrew Tate. They have a photo together.
Nice.
Wait, is that it, or is this it? Can't tell right now.
Anyway, I don't know. I can't tell. Someone zoomed in on it and pointed it out.
Yeah. She reminds me of this Charlie meme, which is this one.
There you go. That's what I was thinking about. You should do something like that. You should put her face over that, and like put all the names of the Frank this and this and that. Put all this stuff up on the board. Put that face over Charlie, and then put all the stuff she said and the ends of the strings.
Okay, I apologize. Her husband's name is George Farmer. Fine. Okay. She said Frank so much that I also started calling a farmer Frank. But so her husband is George Farmer. He comes from a very rich family that is led currently, I think, by her father-in-law, Michael Farmer. And Michael Farmer actually just made a thread on Twitter distancing himself from Candace and her husband, and said that anti-Semitism in all its forms is disgusting, and he knows this very well, and he works on a board for Christians and Jews and all that. So even the father-in-law openly had to distance himself publicly from her because she went insane. It's just it's really messed up.
Which is masquerading behind Jews, still participates in this shit to this day. Okay, why would you want, as a small nation that is the size of New Jersey, okay, why would you want the pedophiles to flee there? Like, why would you want the pedophiles to be procreating? Unless unless the nation of Israel may have been established by some Frankists. And it's looking like Theodore Herzl.
Mystery solved.
So
Mystery solved.
So she's acting like, oh no, I'm not at all accusing Jews as a whole. I'm just saying that there is a secret group of Jews who also
controlled the
happen to be
country and
behind,
founded the country.
yeah, who happen to be behind this whole country, Israel, and who happen to kill children and drink their blood, and who happen to be behind any Jewish significant force, and so on. This is just such a disgusting and dishonest way of attacking Jews with conspiracy theories. This is, but there's something that she says at the end of this one here, of this clip, which gave me the idea to make that stupid tweet.
Herzl's family was from the exact same area in Moravia and in Bohemia, where the Frankist cult was founded. Crazy when you get into his family. That, like, maybe
I was just thinking she's crazy, and then
now here's how stupid it is what she's saying here.
His family, that, like, maybe Theodore Herzl, who wrote in a book that he didn't care how many Jews had to die for him to get the state of Israel, like, maybe he was.
I would really like a reference on that, but here is the issue. Let's say that Theodor Herzl, who is considered one of the founders of modern Zionism, was some evil, messed up cultist. Okay, let's grant for a second that that is true. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly stupid, but let's grant it for a second. Theodor Herzl was not the guy who founded and built and formed and shaped the state of Israel. Theodor Herzl is the guy who wrote something who wrote two very interesting pieces, and who basically, made the idea of creating a modern Israeli state believable and lovable to other Jews. He was a secular guy who didn't have much regard for religion, who wrote this pamphlet called Der Judenstaat, the Jewish state, and another one which is whose name I forgot, but which is basically depicting a utopia of what this Israeli state could become in the future. And he merely gave people the idea. Long after Theodor Herzl did the Zionist movement come together, the modern Zionist movement come together as secular people, non-religious people, religious people, conservative people, and so on, and together as a whole sit down and create the Jewish state, where they had to make compromises in a democracy and decide among themselves after long fights and long discussions whether this country should be purely democratic or not, secular or not, and so on. Theodor Herzl had very much nothing, no say at that point, or no impact at that point. This was up to other people. But somehow, according to Candace Owens, somehow he lived to that point and was in the minds of all of those people and created a state for pedophilia and child sacrifice or something like that, which is just so insane. Once again, none of this makes any freaking sense.
No, and when the problem is, it's always I mean, it's the same thing as Islam's 99-1 rule. If 99% of people are just going to mindlessly accept any nonsense you're saying, and you're spouting out a bunch of names and they have no idea who any of these people are, you sound like you know what you're talking about. And then it sounds plausible because you sound like you know what you're talking about. In other words, there are people who listen to this and they think, wow, she's so knowledgeable, and not to anyone who has any clue what she's talking about, thinking she sounds like a freaking nut.
And here's another fact. Here's another issue. Theodor Herzl died in 1904. When was Israel established? In 1948.
But that beard, though. And what's he hiding under that beard? Could he be hiding a little child who's a part of his sex ring? Could he? We don't know. Could he at least be hiding the key to his sex dungeon under that beard? We don't know. I'm just asking questions. Why is no one talking about this? Why won't the Jewish media allow us to talk about this?
I saw a post where she replied to somebody and said that she takes amounts of little silver particles whenever she feels a little bit sick or something like that. This is a known
what would that do?
pseudoscientific treatment, which is definitely not not recommended. In fact, it causes permanent bluing of your skin, which will be irreversible and also causes other kinds of poisoning and damage. Not sure if that is authentic. I saw that somewhere, but please let me know if there's a link to such a
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think like what would like from a biological perspective. I'm thinking what would the theory even be about what silver is going to do in
geez,
your body?
Are you kidding? I never Googled it.
What?
I never Googled it. Now I see that there are actually news articles on it. Kenneth Owens tells fans to take quack cure that turns skin blue. To take colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is what she actually recommended it. Oh, my God. Shouldn't this be illegal? Shouldn't she be held responsible for this? Because okay, so it's tiny silver particles, tiny little silver things, pure silver. If you take them because somebody told you that it might help with some illnesses, it will cause poisoning over time, and will probably not do anything except turn you permanently bluer and bluer. And there are victims of there are victims who took that kind of stuff and whose skin actually turned irreversibly blue, like this guy here, for example.
Yeah.
So this is not funny, but she's actually suggesting stuff like this. Are you?
That's who was the girl in Willy Wonka who turned into a giant blueberry? Not Veruca Salt. Anyway, it's one of the other ones. She turned into a giant blueberry. But I'm sitting there on a medical website. Is colloidal silver effective? Silver has no known functions or benefits in the body when taken by mouth, and it is not an essential mineral. That's what I mean. Your body doesn't use it.
Pretty sure it is something that is used for a case of putting it on your skin or something. In some cases, I don't know, but it is definitely not something you put into your mouth and use as medicine.
Yeah, it says colloidal silver. Colloidal silver was used to treat infections and wounds before antibiotics became available.
Mm-hmm.
Not actually a Torah worshipping Jew. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas here. And by throwing out some ideas, I mean, I've read a ton of books.
Did you hear that?
She's read a ton of books.
Did you hear that? She's just throwing out ideas.
I don't know.
He didn't
No, she's read a ton of books.
How many Jews had to die for him to get the state of Israel? Like, maybe he was not actually a Torah worshiping Jew. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas here. And by throwing out
Is that something that you say? Torah worshipping?
Yeah.
I'm not good in English, but is that okay? It is? Okay, good. Yeah, okay.
Not actually a Torah worshipping Jew. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas here.
Oh, I'm just throwing out some ideas here. I'm just throwing out ideas. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. So imagine sitting there and for a while spouting the most insane stuff ever, and actually endangering people by repeating blood libel conspiracy theories and making people paranoid about this whole conspiracy that is going on. Imagine sitting here and talking like this about a different group and then saying, well, I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas.
And by throwing out some ideas, I mean, I've read a ton of books and I've figured it out. Okay. I am just like.
I doubt that she read a ton of books and figured it out, which is why I once again would like to invite her to have a conversation or a debate with me where I can ask her about her knowledge, which she gathered from those tons of books. For those who missed it, I should probably make a video on it. She also recently mentioned that she read, she also mentioned this in this instance. I think it was in this Spaces, actually. That's where she mentioned that, that's where she mentioned something about Sigmund Freud and how and how Sigmund Freud was also part of this cult. Hold on. And that they do something with children and baby. Okay, wait a minute. I think I got it. Give me a second. I forgot that this is.
Hey, I just want to, as you're pulling that up, I just want to point out, Candace Owens was born in White Plains, New York, and I just found a list of registered sex offenders in White Plains, New York. Coincidence? Coincidence? She's from White
maybe,
Plains, and there are a bunch of registered sex offenders in the place she's born at, and this is all just coming out now. No one's been talking about this. I'm just asking questions here.
maybe Candace Owens happens to be connected to all these sex offenders. We're just asking questions. We don't know. Just throwing out ideas. Yeah.
So we've got this friend and ally, and we're not allowed to ask questions about Jay.
Oh yeah.
You're not allowed to ask questions, Candace. You're not right here doing it all day, every day. And there aren't millions of other people doing it all day, every day. You're just not allowed. And what's the evidence you're not allowed? Well, Andrew Tate just got arrested or whatever, investigated for trafficking a minor. So you see, there's the proof.
Yeah. The Mossad there on the day that JFK was shot. The arguments that he was having in the days preceding with their prime minister, still classified. Okay, we're never going to know what they were arguing about. And then
JFK was very good with Israel. They had a disagreement on lobbying at some point, but he was pretty much appreciated. And there is no evidence out there at all ever that supports the idea that Israel or the Mossad was involved in the assassination attempt. This is again another instance of this is the whole thing. This has become popular recently of you can't trust the media because the media never tells you the truth. This is why we need to amplify independent journalism and independent platforms where we can tell you the truth. And then the truth that we tell you looks like this, where you just spout a bunch of nonsense without any evidence and make it sound very credible and appeal to very dumb people who don't know much and say, I read tons of books and suddenly it's all real.
Yeah, think about what she just said. And he was about to meet with Israeli leaders and so on, and he gets killed. Oh, what? But think about that. He's the president of the United States. Anyone he's meeting with over any issue, you could just say, what? Coincidence? And 2 weeks after that, he was going to be meeting with this Arab leader. Coincidence? Or did they kill him? And then he was going to meet with this civil rights leader, and then he dies. Coincidence? Or was this by the KKK? You could do, oh my goodness. This is freaking.
It was actually.
This is bad. This is bad.
This was.
They are essentially, and this is Sigmund Freud was a Kabbalist, and they believe in bisexuality. They worship Baphomet. They are trying to use psychology to introduce. And I read this in a book by a Jewish historian, David Bacon.
At this point already, if there are any knowledgeable Jews or others in the chat, or anyone who has a little bit of an idea of Judaism. What she said here is already such a huge bunch of completely made up, stupid nonsense. But let's get to that in a second, okay?
Again, to make their religion the religion of the world, right? Which is introduced, and I read this in a book by a Jewish historian, David Bacon, to make their religion the religion of the world.
I read it in a book.
A pedophile-centric religion that believes in demons, it believes in child sacrifice, and it is the reason that we have the circumstances that we are in today. And most people won't be able to find this history.
Did she tie that to Freud, who was an atheist and a complete naturalist? And she's saying that he's part of this that wants demons to what?
No, I actually got the book and I looked into. I skimmed through it. I'm still reading it, which she mentioned. And there's just one thing that I have to say about this, and it's going to be very, very surprising. I know it's going to be very shocking.
I'm ready to be shocked.
That I have to say about this, which is the book says no such thing at all. In fact, the book is not critical of Sigmund Freud. The book is not never even mentions the words Baphomet, right? In fact, I can point to this. I can show this here. I can demonstrate it here. I have the book right here.
Yeah, AP, just so you know, we know you don't like to make regular human-sized videos anymore, but just taking this clip.
Just take Yes. Hello. Huh. That was weird. Where did David go? I was just hey, what happened?
We know exactly what happened. Candace Owens controls the media.
Did you just lose connection too?
Yeah, right before you did.
What? How did?
No idea, because that's both of us.
That is weird.
That is that. Who really controls the media? Huh?
Wow.
Crazy conservative woman. That's who controls it. Got us shut down. Guys, come look at this. Isn't that weird? We're talking about crazy conspiracies. And then we get shut down for exposing the crazy conspiracies.
That was weird. For some reason, I don't know, StreamYard said
both of us.
Connection something, and let us know if it was on our side. It was probably not on their side. It was probably on the side of whoever Candace Owens is working for.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it has to be, because keep in mind, if I could lose internet connection and I would go out, but we both went out. We both went out separately. That's
very strange.
That's those crazy conservatives, or the Tates, the tater tots. The tater tots got us, ladies and gentlemen. It's the only possible explanation.
So anyway, I got the book that she mentions here, and I immediately, as soon as I got it, I got the Kindle version, so I can quickly do word searches there. As soon as I got it, I quickly tried to search for Baphomet, which she just mentioned. So let me see. Oh no!
What if it's spelled different? You're going to have to actually. You're going to have to actually. You're going to have to read the book just to verify that it doesn't occur with some other spelling or something.
Baphomet, 0 results. Baphomet, maybe it's with an F. 0.
Yeah,
oh no.
I'm saying you're either going to have to read the book, or you're going to have to hire someone to read through the entire book just to verify, because you don't want to say, and I did a search for Baphomet, and people are like, yeah, they spelled it different, idiot. Here it is right here, and it's the chapter that destroys you.
Wrestling with the demon. And here's a part of demons and angels. But it doesn't say that they worship demons and angels. It just says folk religious practices belief in angels and demons, which is also true for Islam and Christianity. So this is very, very strange. Apparently, this is the book that she read. And this is supposed to be...
She's read lots of books. This is the one she named that confirms what she's saying.
Well, Sigmund Freud and the Jewish mystical tradition, David Beckham. So, I don't know, man. It sounds to me like she's lying. It sounds to me like she's lying here, because she's pulling a
Hakikachu, right? Like, she looked at the cover and put her own ideas in it. But that's what Hakikachu does with our journal articles. He'll look at the title and then say they say all these things because no one ever looks it up. And then he runs into an inspiring philosophy who actually reads the article, and he's like, that article didn't say anything you're talking about. It says nothing you're talking about. In fact, it says the opposite of what you're talking about. And then Hakikachu doesn't know what to do. But I'm guessing it's the same thing here. Well, it says on the titles, this must be the book that confirms all my crazy theories.
No, here's the thing. Somebody can be ignorant and not know something about a topic. That's okay. You can be ignorant about a topic, but then pretend to be knowledgeable on it and even cite books and then go on public and talk about it. In that case, you're not just ignorant, you're a liar. You are not just ignorant, you are a liar. You are deceiving people by being an absolutely clueless idiot and then pretending to inform people and giving false references. And that is lying. It's worse than just lying. And this is what she does here. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She mentions Kabbalah. Kabbalah is not, she probably thought, Kabbalah, oh, we always hear about the Cabal. That must mean that these are evil people.
Same thing.
Kabbalah is simply the regular, mainstream, average Jewish mystical tradition of where Jewish thinking and Jewish religious belief goes into the mystical aspect and tries to connect with God in a more mystical sense. It's like Sufism in Islam, for example, or different mystical aspects and traditions in Christian culture. That's exactly what it is. It has nothing to do with bisexuality. It has nothing to do with demon worship or Baphomet. Baphomet has nothing to do with Judaism at all. None of this is true. This is complete nonsense. One thing that the book that she just cited does mention is that is that because Kabbalah has a different has a very deep dive into gender and into a person's personality and the male and female or feminine and masculine aspect of a human, and connecting these aspects of a human on some spiritual level, because it talks about that. And because Sigmund Freud grew up in a religious family or came from a religious environment, he may have been at some point influenced by these ideas, and these ideas may have influenced his thinking about sexuality and this and that at some point in life in terms of science. The guy never says in this book that this is a cult and they're teaching bisexuality and demon worship and they want to spread this religion across the world. This is complete nonsense. She's making this up. And this is the person that people actually trust. Anyway, that's what's happening. We're going to talk. We should talk more. We're going to talk more about the child trafficking case, the minor trafficking case, and the sex trafficking case. However, there's one funny surprise here. Let me see.
Something mean to me, so I got to respect that. This is the apostate prophet. There's a ton of evidence.
She cited you.
Look, she cited what I went on her stream earlier today, and when she was having a live stream, into the super chat, and she's reading it down.
That's funny, man.
I didn't actually know that she reads the super chats. I just made it. So,
case we will cover it today. Okay, well,
wait.
Prophet. He said Candace is not telling the truth. There's a ton of evidence proving the trafficking case. We will cover it today. Okay, well, I went through the case thoroughly. I am absolutely telling the truth about that case, and you can go find my old video covering that. If you'd like
bull. Okay. Whoa. She's just kind of. We might have to revisit this, because when she did her Tate interview, and she's saying, oh, yeah, all this stuff is from 10 years ago. And there's like all these video clips of him in like 2000, 2001, all these messages from them in like 2022 and stuff like that, confirming all this stuff, that it definitely it was going on 10 years ago, but it did not stop 10 years ago. And then she said, so anyway, the point is, when someone says, oh, yeah, all this stuff was 10 years ago, if someone is completely ignorant, then you say, okay, you're a bad reporter in that you didn't research and you just fell for this lie that these guys told you. If she's saying that she went through everything and still thinks it was all over 10 years ago, then she's lying, because it's impossible to conclude that, because you have indisputable evidence that this was going on just a couple years ago. So that means she's actually, and that means she's not ignorant and she got duped by the Tates. That means she is completely lying. And AP, I mean, this is kind of connected to like her saying, oh, I did all this research and I've discovered there's no evidence against them, when there's mountains of evidence against them. It's the same thing as with, oh yeah, there's this book by David Bacon, and he confirms all my crazy theories about these sex cults and demon sacrifice and all this stuff. That's if she just, anytime she's challenged, says, oh yeah, I did all this research, and she obviously hasn't, we got a problem here.
We have evidence that the Tates received $3 million. Almost all of the deposits made to Tate's Paxum account. About 2.6 million out of about 2.8 million total were sent by MFCXY, the webcam platform. Transfers ranged between $15 and $50,000 over the period. According to the statements, the files are the first to reveal financial transactions between Tate and MFCXY. In the year 2022, actually in December. When was that? December? No, in August 2022, he was still receiving money up to $3 million from the webcam company MFCXY, where he was having his girls work on camera with their breasts naked, doing sex acts and stuff like that to viewers.
2022. He told Candace, and she confirmed it. He told Candace last year in 2023. So this is a year after he's definitely still getting paid from the webcam company for the work that his girls are doing. And she goes on there after, according to her, investigating all this and concluding that all this stuff ended 10 years ago. It was still going on literally the year before the interview. And she confirmed that it was all over 10 years ago. And remember, she's going, and I'm not going to condemn someone for something. I wouldn't want someone condemning me for something I did over 10 years ago. So why am I going to condemn them for something they did over 10 years ago? And she's sitting there saying it like that. And it's all, what an absolute, these are sick, evil people you're dealing with, man. And people love them.
We have from the indictment, which the court issued, that one of their collaborators, one of their people, in view of the above-mentioned aspects, the analysis of the financial transactions carried out established a direct link between the defendants Tristan Tate, Emory Andrew, Nigel Georgiana Manuela. It was confirmed that the defendant, Georgiana Manuela, carried out activities in relation to video chat sites with the related sums initially collected by the defendants, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, and then transferred to her personal bank account. This was in 2022. Look, the 30th of May, 2022, total earnings on the platform amounted to $12,000 in 2022, up until this point. Till May. This was at this point, and this proves that they were still working in webcam, in the webcam business, and we have the numbers here. We have the numbers of earnings here. This is 2022. This was not 10 years ago. Candace knows this. Candace should know this, unless she's a complete idiot. Let's continue.
It said that was a new account. It was created in 2022, and so it's just pointing out that's a new account.
Oh, wait, this is a funny face.
That is a funny screenshot. AP,
what?
Well, side note, as far as a short video, you start with her reading your comment, and then show what she says. She did all the research, and then prove her wrong. Got it?
Yes. Yes.
And then you make all that like a 12-minute video.
Yes, or a 2-minute video. Let's see.
And then have that as your screenshot. I mean, that is your thumbnail.
Caught so fast. And again, I'm speaking specifically about the remaining.
Okay. Look at this. Look at what she says about herself.
You can go find my old video covering that if you'd like to. And I would never lie because you would just be caught so fast. And again, I'm speaking specifically about the remaining case, which has been the one, obviously, that they have been facing for the last 3 years.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, because you would be caught so fast. But if your fans cheer for you, because you would be caught so fast, not because it's wrong, because you would be caught so fast. She's caught every time she speaks, but her fans don't care. It's the same thing with Tate. Imagine Tate saying, I would never tell a lie because I would be caught so fast. No, you would have a bunch of fans that cheer for you no matter what you say.
Liar! You're a liar! You're a liar! Are you sick in the mind?
Covered it extensively and spoke about the women in the case. I read the text messages. I reached out to their lawyers to confirm any questions that I had because I wanted to actually.
This is a good point. Reading text messages. Let me actually just chime in here and
that's another good screenshot.
Pause you for a second and pull up some text messages here. So for those who are interested in text messages, those who are interested in evidence, I just want to bring up some evidence here. I was on some Twitter space earlier, where I was reminded once again by Murdered by Cranes, who has been very diligent on this case, of this here. Now, this is from the full indictment, which shows all the evidence and the charges against Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and the two others. It says here, I'm going to read the following, the relevant part. So this here is 2020, where Tristan Tate transmits the following audio message from which it appears that he manages the accounts of exploited persons. New girls I have, and then it continues. These are girls who work for him.
Wait, in 2020? New girls in 2020? Yes. I thought it was all over. It was all over, and by 2013, it was all over.
Yes.
It's weird. It's almost like they're lying.
I'm going to read this most likely explicitly, so sorry, this is just their language. I have, including the girl with the statue, I wouldn't trust any of these bitches on OnlyFans. I wouldn't give any of them the password. I don't want anyone to have the passwords to Pornhub, Xvideos, OnlyFans, MFC. MFC is the webcam website where he would have they would have their women work in the webcam business. I don't want them to have the passwords. I don't want them to have anything.
Hey, quick question. As far as them not having anything, is this because he doesn't want them to be able to go off on their own and have their same accounts? Like, in other words, if a girl gets popular on OnlyFans, it's always possible that she says, I could just go out on my own and then I'll have to give this guy 70% of my money. And is that just, so in other words, is this just because he doesn't want them to be able to cut out on their own and keep their accounts? Something like that?
Correct. But further, here. I don't want anyone to have the passwords. Tate Tristan on 27/2020 sent the following audio message from which it appears the modus operandi. Mainly, I'm going to slave these bitches. And I don't want to write the MFC score cam. So when they start not performing on MFC, the video chat site, or stagnate, or after they're done video chatting, after they're all the chips can be taken out of the room, I'm going to change it and make them do more hours and hours and hours. I'm slaving over these bitches. What he's trying to say here, what he's saying here, what he's describing here is, so when they work on these webcam sites, they make people send tokens by paying money for different acts to these women, and those women who are performing there see the tokens, and those tokens amount to money. He's saying here that he's going to take over control of the channel, of the platform, or of their room, and he's going to hide their tokens, their score, from them, so that they cannot see how many tokens they have, so that it looks like to them they have not met their goal. So they have to continue working and working and working and working as slaves, because they have to work toward a goal of tokens. This is what they do to the women. He continues, no, slave work, minimum 10 or 12 hours a day. Then after a while, he says, that's fine, but as far as OnlyFans being run by us, I wouldn't really want to tell the girls that they can go live, because I don't want to tell them that they have OnlyFans. I want that money to be used by me and you, F them. So, although the criminal activity can be considered as initiated on the territory of the UK prior to 2021 and carried out in the period 2016 to 2021, during 2021, the organized criminal group, which operated on the territory of Romania, crystallized a group consisting of the defendants Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, together with Nigel, Georgiana Manuela, and Radu Luana, and so on. These are just some of the messages. There is a lot of really, really messed up stuff going on here. But what you see here is, and you have to be a monster if you think this is normal behavior, right? Them, after luring women into doing this online sex work for them by making false promises and lying to them and then tricking them and so on, he actually takes complete control of their accounts and everything and forces them to work and takes complete control of everything they have, so that they think they have to keep going and so on. This is just this is only one part of human trafficking. Only one part of human trafficking. Other things involved here are emotional pressure, emotional blackmailing, threatening them to publish all their secret things to their family members and relatives and friends and so on, and things like that. Also beatings, and we'll come to that too. But let's continue with this.
Circle and name the victims as I was going through it, so I completely comprehended it. And I wouldn't lie to people. There would be no, because eventually it would be proven false. I would eventually be proven a liar, and people would lose respect for me. So we will see. One of us.
Nope, they would not lose respect. They would not lose respect because people are stupid. That's the problem. People are stupid, and you appeal to stupid people. That's the problem. And what an excuse, man. No, I would never lie, because if I lied, then people would just find it out. Of course not.
That's ridiculous. It's the same mentality as the Dawa guys, right? I mean, imagine a Dawa guy. Imagine Daniel Haqiqatjou saying, I would never lie, because if I did, then people would lose respect for me. No. Intelligent good people would lose respect for you. But if you form a mob that can eventually silence and shout down the intelligent, good people, then what do you care? What do you care, right? That's why he does it, right? If I spout complete nonsense defending child marriage to a bunch of morons, then I get a mob defending what I say. And who cares? And if there's one guy inspiring philosophy goes and looks this stuff up, who cares? I got 99% of the people over here all agreeing with me. And it's the same mentality here. Because people, there are tons of people. I see this all the time. I've completely lost respect for Candace Owens. I see that all the time. Who cares if you get the groypers behind you and you get all these? There are enough horrible, awful, and dumb people in the world that if you spout completely horrible, awful, dumb stuff, that you'll have a huge following. So that's a grift. It's a grift.
Your daily dose says keep coping. You wish you can be like Candace or Andrew. Believe me, your daily dose.
Sure do.
I definitely would not want to be like Candace Owens, and most definitely would not want to be a sex trafficker, a human trafficker who's
about to go to prison.
Who's about to go to prison and probably stay there for quite a long time. In fact, I think people who engage in sex trafficking and manipulation and trafficking of minors and so on, I think prison is not even enough for them. Just so you know, your daily dose. Just so you know.
Be right. I don't think it's going to be you. You guys, I want to thank you so much for your continued time. So we will see. One of us will be right. I don't think it's going to be you. You guys, I want to thank you so much for your continued.
Yes, one of us will be right. And it's.
You got, dude, I'm telling you.
One of us is already right. One of us is already right. It's me. I am right. You are not. That's as clear as it is. Okay. I am right.
Who are we supposed to believe?
You
her
are not,
or you?
Candace. Candace, you liar. You liar.
Liar! You're a liar. You're a liar. You're sick. You're sick.
Anyway, so Andrew Tate. David, you don't have much time, I know. I was gonna explore this issue a little bit more. Probably should at some point, and will. But there are a few more things that I want to get into. Let's see. A few more things that I want to get into. Yes, I'm learning from the media this week that the Nazis were apparently Jewish. Reality, they've hit the panic button, so on. Canceled everything. Did she tweet something about Andrew Tate? I think she did something earlier. Okay, maybe not.
Hey, here's a funny situation that because here's what happens. Here's how it happens, ladies and gentlemen. You have a bunch of followers, and then you go full on crazy conspiracy theory, right? And then what happens when you go full on crazy conspiracy theory? Well, you get a bunch of new followers who are following you because they're into the crazy conspiracies. There are a bunch of people who are like that. But then people who don't like the crazy conspiracies, they start like, okay, I'm not following this person anymore. I'm not okay. We scheduled you to come speak here a year ago. Then you went crazy. We're not interested anymore. But then what does all that become? It becomes, you see, the Jews are trying to cancel me for speaking the truth about them. You sound insane right now. You sound insane. You sound like you've gone full Kanye right now when he's in his manic phase, right? Where he completely loses his mind. That's what you sound like right now. We do not want you coming and saying all this stuff. And then you see, it's the Zionists because I've exposed their sex Baphomet cult.
It's the Zionists. The Zionists are doing this all to me. The Zionists are doing this to me. Here is a part of a document which says trafficking in minors. This is from 2 years ago. It shows here. I don't want to read the whole thing. You have it here on screen, but it shows here that that trafficking in minors was already part of the investigations 2 years ago. It was part of the initial request for an indictment. Later on, they decided to separate trafficking minors into a separate case, together with money laundering and other cases, which they want to establish for a second second batch of charges. So they are currently both charged for human trafficking and organized crime. And Andrew Tate is also charged for rape, by the way. But trafficking minors was coming. We knew it all. This is nothing new. When Andrew Tate acts like this is just something that they made up to bust him for his because of his comments about Jews or Zionism, he is lying to you. He knows that this was coming. Many of us know that this was coming. So that's the problem here. That's what we have. That's what they do. That's what they do. David, say something quickly. I'm quickly looking for something. We'll get right back to you.
Yeah, guys, I want to point out to you with these problems, canceling people, getting people shut down, that's not going to help. Getting your favorite politician elected is not going to help you. If you have a population that is just programmed to accept mass manipulation, you're screwed. So I would say you've got to figure out a way. You've got to figure out a way to make turn people into what are called hard targets, right? Manipulators aren't interested in hard targets who won't fall for things. They're interested in soft targets who will fall for things and who can be easily manipulated. If you end up with an entire population of soft targets, you're just screwed. That is, in other words, that is the inevitable breakdown of your civilization. There's no way it doesn't lead to the inevitable breakdown of your civilization. If you have a population that is just wired to be manipulated, and then they all just get manipulated by different groups that all fight against each other and stuff, and everything breaks down. So either figure out a way to deal with that and make people hard targets to where you don't fall for any idiot who comes along and spouts a bunch of complete nonsense, or you're doomed. So this is like a D-Day level stuff going on here right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Shut your ears, cover your ears, or children's ears, whatever.
You should want a girl to work for you, haven't fucked. So the recruitment process is the same as the PhD course. You message them on Instagram. The PhD course is my recruitment system. I don't mention webcam until after I've had sex with the girl. If you're on dates and you're trying to mention it and shit, it just doesn't work. It puts them off. I'd never do that. That's disgusting. I'm not a whore. It's just not gonna work. You continue as normal, no mention of webcam. You fuck the girl. After you fuck the girl, you do the PhD test. If she passes the PhD test and she wants to be with you, then you start mentioning things like, yeah, but you know, you're always busy. You're always at work. You can come work for me. So, as I said, you cannot try and approach girls to do webcam. Hi, do you want to do webcam? It's bullshit. It doesn't work. No one's going to say yes. And any girl who does say yes is doing it. She doesn't like you. She doesn't know you. She doesn't love you. She's saying yes purely for money.
How do you not edit that out?
Andrew Tate fans are totally shocked. You're like, wait a minute, he sneezes just like us? How can this be true? I thought he's God. God doesn't sneeze. But I want to highlight one thing here, which is everything he described here, just within this 1 minute, it continues on. Everything he described here is how you do human trafficking. It is how you do the lover boy method. It is how you do human trafficking in most human trafficking cases that happen in the world. It happens that this guy, Andrew Tate, approaches a woman, initially acts like he's just interested in her, sexually or through love, whatever it is, tries to somehow convince her and get her into bed. Then when in bed, he figures out if this woman is susceptible to being controlled by him or not. So he tries her out. That is the PhD method that he describes. It literally stands for pimping hose degree. Yes, that's what he is saying. He is supposed to be very smart. If the woman is an independent and kind of strong one, and one that doesn't listen very well, then she's not fit. It has to be a desperate, broken, possibly subservient woman, probably from a problematic background, that can easily be subdued by him. Once he figures it out, he manipulates her, lies to her, makes her think that he, has been doing things with other people left and right, but he just wants to, he likes her so much that he wants to marry her and so on. Lies to her, takes her out of that country, transfers her to a different place, puts her into a house together with a bunch of other women who all came there with the same trick, and makes them work in sex work.
Trick.
And then slowly rips them off their rights and their ties, starts manipulating them through fake messages, and things like that, and continues lying to them, and then also starts threatening them, including, we have cases of him threatening, or Tristan Tate threatening these women, beating them, throwing them out in the rain naked so that they have no choice but to come back inside, and so on. In fact, I just want to quickly explain how this thing started. And I want to credit Murdered by Cranes, the account on Twitter that does a lot of stuff for that, very quickly, how this whole case started. So there are some people who are actually going around saying, oh, this is because of Zionists, because of Jews, globalists, and so on. That is a ridiculous assertion for one very simple reason. It wasn't a foreign government or other forces that started this whole investigation. It was the DCOT, the Terrorism and Organized Crime Department in Romania, that started this after one day they got a phone call. They got a phone call from a person who sounded like they were saying there is an American citizen being held against their will at the Tate compound, at the Tate house. They had a suspicion. They actually thought somebody is being held there against their will by force. So they went there, raided the place, went there, and saw that no such thing is going on. There is not a person in distress being held against their will. So they thought, okay, it was probably false alarm, I guess. But when they were there, they noticed that something seems quite off. And they concluded, it looks like there is a human trafficking situation going on in this house. So they went back, and when they went back, they started investigating for a long time, including looking into multiple aspects of evidence, obtaining all kinds of messaging, audio recordings, sending in undercover spies and things like that to gather as much evidence as possible. And they concluded at some point, okay, very clearly, they are using the Loverboy method, the most popular human trafficking method, to lure in people and to use them as sex slaves. After establishing enough of the facts, they first get in touch with one of the women who worked for him, who was a former police officer. She lies to the police and says there's nothing wrong going on in the Tate business. They dismiss her because they have enough evidence at that point. They slowly build a case, but one of their accomplices becomes aware of it and knows that an investigation is incoming. And at that point, most likely, Andrew Tate officially, publicly converts to Islam. That's in 2022. After they are already aware that an investigation is oncoming, converts to Islam. And then, shortly after, the first raid starts and the investigation is publicly declared. Human trafficking is going on. Charges will soon be officially brought to the table, and it starts. At that point, Andrew Tate had converted to Islam. And when he converted to Islam, he already knew that he was going to be raided and a major investigation into the crime ring was going to be started. Yes, and this is all on record. And when we have more time, I will go into further looking into all of the evidence that we have for all that. He also knew just quite recently that they are going to come once again for more charges, including trafficking minors, which is why he started stirring up controversy again. Recently said that Jews are the Matrix. And now he is once again blaming the Jews for something that he saw coming. So it wasn't the Jews, it wasn't Israel, it wasn't Zionists. The investigation started long before he even became popular. It started because the guy is involved in sex trafficking, because the authorities did, independent from public exposure and everything, come to the conclusion that there is sex trafficking. All of the publicity and the public heroism only came afterwards. These guys are sex traffickers. I have hundreds of pages of the indictment with me. I have summaries of evidence, lots of evidence here. I'm going to go through all of it again. For now, I will have to stop this because David is going to be on another live stream in about 20 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, we can hang out for a couple minutes and do a couple super chats if you want.
Yes,
but yeah, you should revisit this to go into more. Matter of fact, we should get like Murdered by Crayons on with us to break down some stuff. I just wanted to point out because you still, since this is new and we haven't been covering this a long time, you still have lots of people. You just broke it down, but you still have lots of people go, what? But she was willing. That's not sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is when you lock them in a cage and so on.
No.
Guys, as someone who's spent a lot of time in prison and been around pimps and so on and robbers and everything else, there are pimps who believe you're an amateur if you have to beat your girls to keep them in line. They think you're an amateur, right? Because they're like, if you do it right, they're in love with you. You can use these girls until they're completely worn out, and you can, if you know how to do it. And what method do they use? The lover boy method. They use the lover boy method. You get the girls to fall in love with you, and while you're doing that, you're conditioning them to mindlessly obey anything you say. And you look for girls that you can manipulate easily. You look for girls who are soft targets. That's they don't call it the PhD test, but they would say the exact same thing. You get with a girl, you stay with her. Your goal is to make the girl completely fall in love with you. Think you're her boyfriend and so on. Meanwhile, you're conditioning her over time to mindlessly obey everything you say. It's just like Islam. It's just like Islam. Anyway. And then eventually you get her to, she's completely under your control. And then she spends the rest of her life being your prostitute. And then when she's older, then you turn her into a recruiter for you, and she's part of the system and so on. So there are pimps who think you're an amateur if you have to beat girls and tie them up and all these things. There are robbers who think you're an amateur if you have to kill someone during a robbery. In fact, they look down on you. Not just you're an amateur, but you're screwing it up for everyone else, because you want people to understand that in a robbery, no one's going to get hurt. As long as everyone does what they're supposed to, no one's going to get hurt. You just hand over your stuff, no one gets hurt. If you actually end up killing someone, then people are freaked out when they find out they're being robbed. So they think they actually look down on you're an amateur and you screw it up for the good robbers. There are kidnappers who think you're an amateur if you do not get paid and do not return the person safely. You're ruining it for everyone else if you mess up the deal, because then people start. You want when someone's daughter has been kidnapped, you want that person to know with complete confidence, if I hand over the money, my girl is going to be returned to me safely. If you start screwing it up and people start dying and so on, then you've just ruined it up. Now they don't know what to expect. So they just instantly call the cops and get the cops involved. So anyway, point is, Andrew Tate's model, he's just applying to webcam what pimps have been doing all along, which is why he bragged for years about being a pimp. He understood. Until he found out, until his lawyer told him, actually, what you just did is textbook sex trafficking. And dude, they're going to lock you up. You admitted all this in your videos. What are you, stupid? And that's right when he shifted to, I'm just being targeted by the Matrix for my fearless defense of young men.
Yeah. There is one thing that I have to break to some people. It might be a big surprise, a big shocker, but they will. A lot of those people who still hold on to Andrew Tate's testicles will probably agree that Jeffrey Epstein is definitely a trafficker of minors. I have to point out one thing to those people: Jeffrey Epstein never kidnapped anyone. Jeffrey Epstein never kidnapped anyone by force. He never kidnapped anybody. He never put people in cages. He never put people in chains. He never put handcuffs on the people he groomed, and so on. Jeffrey Epstein was found to be a sex trafficker and trafficker of minors by lying deceiving, manipulating, grooming, and using people. Yes. And Andrew Tate has been doing the same thing. That's it. Here's one thing which you can find from organizations that deal with human trafficking. The most pervasive myth about human trafficking is that it often involves kidnapping or physically forcing someone into a situation. In reality, most traffickers use psychological means, such as tricking, defrauding, manipulating, or threatening victims into providing commercial sex or exploitative labor. I have to tell you, if you think Jeffrey Epstein is a human trafficker, but you think Andrew Tate is not a human trafficker, then you probably don't know what you're talking about. Here is something very simple to point it out. The UN uses a standard to determine human trafficking cases. This is called the AMP model. Action means purpose. The action is inducing, recruiting, harboring, transporting, providing, or obtaining individuals, humans, by force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of commercial sex or other kinds of labor and service. In Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate's case, they induced, recruited, harbored, transported, or otherwise obtained different women by lying to them, by fraud or coercion, or also by force, in order to use them in commercial sex. This is textbook human trafficking. Textbook human trafficking. Minors induced into commercial sex are human trafficking victims regardless if force, fraud, or coercion is present. And if you still hold on to his testicles, you are going to have a very, very bad time. So for those who have the time, I recommend a video which is called Just 50 Minutes of Andrew Tate Admitting to His Crimes. The video is full of him simply self-snitching. It is glorious.
Who made that?
Some dude. Smith the agent.
In the pimp game. I say that people think I make it up.
Hey, we should just do a live stream where we go through all of that and constantly splice little clips of Candace saying she's investigated all this and there's no evidence of anything.
Oh, this is the best part, I think.
Who is?
Yeah. But get friends. She's a friend across the
Texas pigs here.
whatever. To me, I'm a little.
Sister Graham?
No, that was not it. Wait, I just want to see one part and then I want to read a few super chats and then bounce and leave. Anyway, he was talking about having sex with 15-year-olds. Anyway, let's see. Here is Eternal Vigilance, $50. As a Christian conservative, I greatly appreciate your videos exposing Candace and Tate. Your videos are super helpful for sharing the truth with friends. Great work. God bless you and your family. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. It is sad to see that some people who are self-proclaimed conservative Christians who support Candace Owens and Andrew Tate and even Dan Bilzerian. But then again, you also have the Groypers around who are supposedly Christians and they support the Nazis and things like that. It is insane. As an outsider, I do say that these people are not Christian at all in any of their behavior and in what they support, and I stand by that. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but with that, no, I'm actually not sorry at all. But those are very, very, very weird Christians who pretend to be Christians and then they support people who push things that are so counter to any Christian value. It is amazing to me. In the case of the Groypers, they're also using Catholicism, with the Catholic Church, which has a very explicit council statement on rejecting collective blame for Jews, rejecting anti-Semitism, and so on. They actually use the Catholic Church, but reject Catholic teachings, and so on. These people are such frauds. Rebecca, what's up? It's the Jews, they target him. He's like Jesus. Yeah, that's the case. That's the case, totally. That's what you're joking, but the funny thing is, Andrew Tate actually published a while ago a meme of himself depicted as Jesus on the cross, and that's how much he cared about mockery back then. Now he pretends to care about Jesus and other religious figures. He depicted himself as Jesus in the past.
It's also interesting, like the only times he actually cares about anything is right when a bunch of charges are going to come up, and then suddenly he cares, and therefore, and he's only being targeted because he cares. And since he cares, he is a target of the Matrix and of Zionists and so on.
Yeah,
pretty funny. Hey, yo, I gotta go because I got to set up with Robert here, and everyone, I'm going to be live with Robert here in 9 minutes for This Week in Jihad, which will be way better than any super chats AP is going to be reading through.
Okay, I'm going to. I think I can redirect people to. Oh, I can't. He has to allow it to the live stream. But
people know it's on Jihad Watch. I'll see everyone in a few minutes.
Yeah, just put it in the chat. Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Catch y'all later.
Okay. I'm just going to read a few super chats. Can't go beyond those 10 minutes. Joel Evers, David ain't no morning wood, no, he's a dry wood. His skin is tough as hardwood, roasting jihadis like a firewood. His knowledge is compressed like plywood. He's looking plywood. He should see this. Hu Jintao, Hindu from London. AP David would love your work. You should sometimes speak about persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh, Christians in Pakistan. Happy to send info. Come have a pint and save Londonistan. Londonistan is lost, man. Is lost. It's one of the places I don't want to go back to ever again. Paul Lungaro, nighttime news was where we got our news, and the tabloids was fake news. We live in a time now people need to do their own research for the truth and just simply don't want to. This is very, very much true. Sheikh Mike Wingeling starting to get to suspect Tate isn't Muslim. His law boy nonsense is sus. He's using Islam, seriously. Angel Martin, I mean, I hate Islam, right? I've said many times I hate Islam. Islam is disgusting. It's horrible. But there's one thing I can say for sure, which is that Andrew Tate is not a Muslim. He's simply using Islam. He is not a Muslim. Simple as that. Angel Martin, colloidal silver doesn't turn you blue unless you drink a gallon a day. It works extremely well, actually. Do more research. It doesn't work if you drink it. It has no medical purposes at all if you drink it. It doesn't do any such thing. There is zero evidence. Zero evidence. There's research and zero evidence that it has any healing benefits medically if you take it by mouth. That's the truth. Every day said, I saw a guy say, I know you will tell me you read somewhere that it helps, but no, it's not. Or you will say, you know, somebody who got better after they took a bunch of silver. No, sorry, that's not how it works. Every day I saw a guy say her husband is Sir Vacante Catholic. They don't recognize Pope since Vatican II, and they are often anti-Semitic. I heard about, is that true? I joined a Spaces a few days ago, where certain Catholic speakers and figures participated in the Spaces as well. And it was pointed out that her husband and now her are maybe or are part of a Catholic community that doesn't recognize the church. And says that the chair of the Vatican is empty. So they don't recognize the Vatican. But since Vatican II, when did the Second Council take place? Wasn't that the 60s? When was that? Vatican II, when was that? Yes, that was 60s. October 62 to December 65. The Second Vatican Council. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know enough about this. I'm thinking of inviting somebody knowledgeable in Catholicism and also in politics and all that stuff to talk about it. I'm trying to get in touch with a few people on that. I would like to have somebody on who is a knowledgeable figure, probably an authority, who can tell me more about that. Just to also address, not Candace Owens, primarily the whole anti-Semitism and Nick Fuentes and all that, because they are acting like they are good Catholics. They're acting like they're acting like they are representing Catholicism. The Catholic Church is representing Catholicism, and the Catholic Church is quite explicit in things like all Jews are bad, Jews are guilty, and so on. The Catholic Church is quite clear for half a century now that such ideas go against the very foundations and values of Catholicism itself. That's it. Urinating Broom said the West needs to get lectured on civilization and morals by people who defend marriage and the unaliving of apostates. Yes, this is what Islam does. Go top Mike Winger, the type of guy who sent his nerd army after little old us. LOL. You made a song. It was that you? It was a banger. It was so good. Even Mike Winger shared it, which was very humiliating for him. Yeshua the King, Andrew Wilson made the argument Muhammad had to have caused Aisha damage or had, since the kernel of a 9-year-old is only 2-inch deep thoughts. I don't want to talk about it. Philip Daniel, fact is you can criticize Israel till the cows come home. Only country I found I personally can criticize without threats is Iran's ally Armenia. I don't know. There are lots of countries that are problematic. It is nowadays the most popular thing to do to say some really, really bad things about Israel and to make false accusations about Israel. Nobody cares. Nobody is suddenly raided and accused of sex trafficking. Only those who actually engage in sex trafficking. Let's see. What? Rabbi Tovia Singer has a YouTube on Candace and Vatican II. That's a funny combination that I need to look into. Because, Tovia Singer is doing this unpopular thing, which is even unpopular among Jews, the counter-missionary thing. But he actually has a video on Candace Owens. Let's see. Where he calls out Candace Owens and distances her from Catholicism. Wow. That's surprising to me. I'll check it out. That's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, even if even Tovia Singer goes to protect Christians from Candace, wow, that's interesting. Canada, great X Spaces today. AP Dizzle, please join next time. I really want to do more of the spaces. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I have my disagreements and all with Tovia Singer. I don't really like him, although he likes me, as he said to me privately. Candence Owens says, Apostate Prophet, you have no idea what you're talking about. I've done thorough research into the Tate case, and I found nothing. Okay, I have to go. I leave it to Robert, Spencer, and David to take over from here. I unfortunately can't read more of the super chats, but will definitely read them to myself, inshallah. Thanks everyone for joining. I will probably host spaces myself, apparatchik. Thanks for joining. We'll see each other again. Have a fantastic day, and as always,
stay away from Islam. Stay away from Islam.